Welcome to Beyond the Guidelines, the podcast that takes you past the listings, the programs, and all the polished sales talk to reveal the real people shaping today's real estate world. Here we uncover the personal stories, struggles, and wins that have defined each guest, giving you a fresh, actually human perspective on the business. I'm Ryan Speltz, and together we are on a mission to help you see the person behind the professional, because real estate isn't just about the deals. It's about connecting to who you're working with. Today's guest is definitely somebody I'm excited to introduce to you. Going to put a little different spin on our show, as she is kind of doing things a little bit differently. It's kind of awesome. So not just for what she's accomplished in the market, but she has drive, she's got values, and the vision that's behind her success and in her future is pretty awesome. I asked Kitty what her purpose was before we started the show, and she says, we help our neighbors sell their homes for cash as is so they can move forward with confidence. So Kitty, let's go a little deeper behind the standard industry sound bites and explore what makes you tick on and off the real estate playing field. Kitty, before we talk about your business deals, I want to start with something simple but powerful. Who are you when you're not wearing the professional hat, and how does your purpose that we just talked about kind of work into that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for having me here. I'm super excited to be here and have some time with you today, Ryan. So thank you. So work life is work life integration. So I'm always having that work hat. I feel like it's just part of who I am. For me, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a firefighter wife. So we have a little bit of a different schedule. And I'm always on. So by being a business owner, I have that balance all the time, but I do a lot of work life integration. I love being a mom, spending time with my daughter. I really dedicate the nights to having time with her, but real estate never stops. So there's always times where we talk about, having to take calls. So it's become part of our family of who we are. It really is a family business. But yeah, I love just spending time with my family, being outdoors, taking walks. I just really love just taking fresh air and loving where we live and just being part of it. And just trying to stop and enjoy the moments. We see a lot of crazy situations or hard times, and it really makes you have so much gratitude for what you have. So we've really tried to pause in those moments that we have and really enjoy having time together too.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I used to say that I always wanted to have family time and stuff like that. But, before kids, you don't know really what family time is until you have kids. So I, as a sort of new father here within a year, I fully understand how that actually plays out now. It's a whole different game. And I'm sure with a little bit older children, it probably changes that a little bit too. How are you balancing the time to, how do you set boundaries or anything to define that time?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, because it's a different balance. Your priorities definitely shift. So for me, it's, when she goes to school, she goes to summer camp right now. So I prioritize getting as much of it done as I can while I have the time. So things that need my most attention, things that I have to talk to someone else for, I prioritize the time that I know I have. And then after she goes to bed, she knows there's times where I have calls for different groups I'm in, or also to just do work, computer work, paperwork, things I can do off hours. So I try to maximize the time where I have to take action and talk to people during the day. Night, once I pick her up from school or camp, it's family time from like 4:30 to about 8 till bedtime. It's, take dinner, do time together, do homework, do something. And there's times where I'll have to run to work or have an appointment, but then we talk about that too and what it means. So she's definitely part of that. And then, weekends kind of just vary. There's times where she'll run with me to go look at a house, or my mom will jump in the car so she can stay with her, take the car ride. So we really just kind of coordinate and just integrate it together. But we definitely try to make it a point. If we're doing something with business, we still have fun. If we're going to a road trip somewhere, we took a 2-hour drive one day and we stopped along the way, went to like a family farm. So we try to integrate things too.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it. Just bringing in other things outside of just work, so that the kids don't feel like work is always pulling away. I love that. With the home buying piece of what you guys kind of implemented there, where did that come from? How did you come up with that idea? Like how did you find some passion around something like that?
Yeah, so I've come back around to education, sales, teaching, all of these things, and learned a lot of tools. Worked with a lot of different people. I fell into real estate about 4 years ago. Just friends and family really encouraged me to get into it, just from my experience, where we've lived, things like that. I started as a full-time agent, and then I did some marketing and some recruiting with my last brokerage. Really gained a lot of skills. And then I fell into real estate. I fell into investing. I wanted to do it for like the last over a decade. My husband and I talked about it. 2 years ago, we committed to getting into investing and really building a portfolio. At the time is what our goals were. So we just jumped in. We learned as much as we could, and we knew we wanted to flip houses and be involved in that part. But then we also learned about working direct to sellers and the opportunity to help them in their situations. And I come from a background of working in pretty much, any kind of sales. I've done mutual funds, door-to-door sales, things like that, and talking to people in tough times. So being that person to help find a solution to people and being direct on the line was a different opportunity. And it was taking what I learned on market as an agent and now putting it off market. So my background is really strong in marketing and sales and just introductions and things like that. And it just made sense to be direct to the sellers to find those opportunities to help them. So it kind of just unraveled where we're like, okay, let's take investing to the next level. I stepped away from being a full-time agent and really just went all in on working off market and building our brand. Beginning of 24 is really when we went all into building the brand and really just putting our name out there in the community, networking. For us, that's what's really been important is showing who we are and building a brand that's trusted in the neighborhood because I think that local presence is huge and our experience in the market as a neighbor is just so strong that it gives something that a lot of people don't have, when they're looking for a solution like ours.
Yeah. How do you get past, because you and I have kind of discussed the hurdle of getting past the theory or the thoughts around buying your house or selling your house for cash. And it can get kind of sticky in there for people thinking that they could get more on the open market or the XYZ. How do you get past that kind of stigma of what you're doing?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's tough because there is like anything, there's bad players in the game or miscommunication. And it's really hard to kind of put pieces together because it's a huge thing. For us, it's about education. So for us, we wanted to build a brand and an online reputation so people can know who we are. We take a lot of pride. So we built our website. We've built a Facebook page. We've built a lot of things in the background so people can search us and find us and know who we are. So we're really trying to build something that people are comfortable with. Like I went to an appointment yesterday and the woman was like, oh, you're just like your video. You're just like your picture. So it builds that trust. So we're trying to be really, really known with that. That's super important for us. And then also just kind of trying different ways to help people, kind of finding what solutions, just being able, we would try to leave people in a better spot than we find them in their situations. I didn't realize getting into this. I knew I wanted to help people. I knew, what we were doing was going to be different in a different way to help, but I didn't realize the intensity of what we would do in the situations we would face. There's times where I've cried with sellers that were just really tough situations, things out of their control, dealt a bad card, things like that you don't expect. So it's just finding solutions to things like that. It's not always us, but leading people on an educational piece. So when we go about, and kind of long story there, but when we have that initial conversation, we ask enough questions and we do a lot of education, I think, more than, it's not a sale, it's an education piece because we're providing a solution. So I think that's what really is different. And people feel that. They feel when you care and you're more concerned about how to fix the solution for them than the transaction itself. And that's where, I think people see our passion and see what we're doing different and they feel that and they resonate that experience. So yeah, just trying to be, just be different. And it's tough because there are people that are coming in and promising higher numbers or promising a sales point that doesn't make sense. And then they're going back and canceling and we're seeing this sadly, and sellers are getting to feel burned and really kind of walls up from it. So really educating on that second time around is even harder because now they're like, whoa, what's going on? So we're fully transparent with everything. We build trust. We work with great partners. And that just really, that helps our brand and it helps, the transaction with the sellers feel confident in using us too.
I love that education-based concept of just actually helping people understand what they're going through instead of kind of pushing the pen and really like trying to force somebody to move, which is where a lot of, I think that comes from is, when they're getting calls or cold calls or whatever it ends up being, these people are automatically defensive because they feel like they're being sold a pile, right? And they just don't know which direction to go. So I love that forcing or showing the education instead of forcing really is where you're at. That's a great way to go about business. And I think that, a lot of your success probably has to do with that as well.
Thank you. Yeah. There's a lot of times people think that we're a solution when there's other options or other things and things like that for it. So I think it's definitely important.
Yeah, I think, and with ultimately, it's such a funny thing, and this has come up on a few different episodes, but talking about how real estate is kind of just like it eats itself over time, right? Like there's realtors selling against what you're doing because they want to list the home, and it all comes down to like, what does that person intrinsically value, or what do they want to do, right? So the real estate agent will sell against doing a cash buyer because they want to list it for their 3%. The cash buyers often sell against listing it on the open market because you have to deal with X, Y, and Z. For sale by owner is such a negative term in the industry as well. All these things are just kind of eat against each other, and it's what I think people have to understand is that every single piece of real estate has its own place in real estate. It wouldn't be there if that wasn't true, right? Even wholesalers that everybody kind of talks down on, like that's part of it too, right? Like, and that's part of it too, is just being able to provide a solution that ends up being right for that person, and taking that education side lets them make that decision. And as long as, to the other people in the industry, as long as you're helping them make a decision that's right for them and not forcing them into a direction, I think you're doing, a great job of that. So what, kind of down that line, what's one mindset or habit that you have created that you credit for your success?
Well, that's a good question. I think just listening. I think, there's always things you want to ask. There's always questions you have, but being in the moment to listen to what someone's going through is so powerful, because it lets you put yourself in their shoes and what they think and what they hear. So I've really tried to spend a lot of time listening and absorbing than worrying about like a list of questions or things like that. Like, I know what I'm going to want to ask and get to know and things like that, but it's not like a checklist. It's a conversation. So really taking that time to uncover what someone's looking for, because what they think they might need or might be a solution may not, or we might have another idea. There's times where we uncover an idea that we didn't know we could do, but maybe they had this interest rate, or maybe they had XYZ or whatever it is. So really kind of listening has been really, really a big part of it. And being confident that, you have ideas and you have solutions. And that's where partnering with the right people and the resources are huge, because, there's times where you may not know how something, had 9 heirs across the country. I might have had a title question or two, but you know who to go to for those things. So that's the other part of it too, is having those relationships.
Yeah. And it's when you're a good person, you kind of attract those things too. And I think, a lot of people don't recognize that as well. Like, you start to work with the right people because you become the right person to work with, right? Like, so your partnership is a mutual partnership. And, it's kind of that same idea that you have with the sellers, is educate and let them make the right decision. It's the same thing with partners. As long as you're, it's a mutually beneficial relationship, the partnership works. If it's not, then, one person's taking advantage, and that's where the bad names come through for sure. Absolutely. If you could give yourself, when you were starting down this journey, one piece of advice, what would you give yourself?
Ooh. I've committed to doing everything that I've tried marketing wise good 3 months. So even though I had lots of stumbles along the way to find kind of where we are, I'm confident in the steps I took to get there. But I would say take more action, but I feel like I took a lot of action. That's really tough. I would say I wish I would have started my website sooner. That's probably my biggest piece that I would have done, is start my website sooner, because I tried a lot of things and it makes me appreciate where my direction is going. But it took a lot of time to get here, and like working on this SEO side and building that is a long-term play that I wish I would have started even sooner than I did. That's probably the biggest thing. But yeah.
So using your tools more effectively for sure. Yeah. I think that's a common struggle, right, for people, is thinking that, they start something and it's going to launch right away. So I love the idea of marketing 3 months at a time and just making sure that like that's working after 3 months and reassessing. That's huge too. And a lot of people don't even give it 3 months, right? They'll make one post and that'll be it. And so that's a big thing.
Yeah. I mean, we've done like door to door, we've done phone calls, we've done mailers, we've done flyers, literally talking to like everything. And we've always committed, I'm going to do it at least 3 months to see, and then kind of reassess. And then that's kind of where we're working on now, is like just our brand of social medias and referrals has been great for us. So building that recognition in the community is kind of where we really realize our strength is, and where people feel confident working with us too.
Yeah, that's great. And you mentioned kind of the struggles of what you went through with marketing and what you recognize worked and didn't work. So I'm going to have you look back across kind of your last couple of years doing what you're doing now. What's a challenge or failure that shaped how you approach everything today?
A challenge. There's been a lot of challenges. I think a challenge would be not taking enough action sooner. While I feel I got started, in January 2024, and I was all in and I was studying things, I feel like I should have taken more action sooner. I was so worried about knowing what to do that I did a lot of studying, and I did took some action, but I feel I wish I would have taken more massive action and sooner for it. I think that's the biggest thing. The hardest piece of this is the consistent action, because you're investing in yourself, you're putting hours in, and you're just hoping to get the return of what you're doing. But that persistence and that consistency is huge. So probably taking more action sooner and getting less out of my head. And I think that's probably a common thing of, that being stuck like that, paralysis.
Yeah. And it fits with you mentioned, we've talked about the 3-month kind of runway for each marketing technique. It's the same thing. It's, I take massive action, or what people would consider massive action, which could be 2 videos on social media for one person, or, 100 days in a row of grinding it out for another. That's considered massive action. And that's the tough part, is people think they're always not doing enough, and then they quit because they get discouraged because of that. So, ultimately the only way you lose is quitting. And the fact that you're still around, even though you went through some of that stuff that you had the challenges on, that says a lot about like determination and grit on your side too. So that's a positive way to look at some of those challenges that you've gone through. So we talked before the show a little bit about what's coming next, and I want to give you a little space to kind of talk about what your plan is with kind of what you've utilized in your house flipping to this point, and then where that goes into the future. So what's next for Kitty?
Yeah. So like I said, we're building a brand with buying homes. That's something really important to us. We're doing a lot of educational pieces in that. So that's been a big project that we've really been working on. I've been working on good 7 to 6 months, committed, like a lot. So we're still going to keep building that. We want to have that brand in the community, but we've realized, we love real estate. When I mentioned when we first started, we thought we wanted to build a big portfolio and have a lot of homes and things like that. But then we started kind of uncovering different things, and we've been surrounded by great people. I mean, we've invested in great communities, we've other investors, and we've just learned so much. And we found a passion for residential assisted living. I grew up volunteering with seniors. My husband took care of his grandmother growing up. So, we've been around that. I took care of my dad when he had surgery. So a lot of things kind of been shaping in our lives in the background. And we wanted to do something there where it was meaningful for us and fulfilling. So we love real estate. We realize there's an opportunity. There's a huge demand for assisted living right now. We're already at a 1 million bed shortage. So, and it's only going to increase as we have more baby boomers age and more needs and life expectancy extends and things like that. So for us, we are continuing buying houses, but our passion goal is assisted living. So we're going to be building ground up construction of residential assisted living home, and we're really, really excited about that, to be able to give something into the community, something that they're comfortable and happy putting your family in, and you're visiting and being part of, something that we're proud of, that's fulfilling, not just as a real estate side, but for the community and for the folks that work there as well. So we're really, really excited about that. It's definitely a big project. It'll be probably a good 2 years until we'll be able to open, because we'll be building and all of those things with it. But yeah, we're really, really excited, and it's just kind of the start of figuring it all out. So we'll definitely be sharing on social more and more. But yeah, we're really, really excited about it.
I love that's something that's really close to my heart too. And we had connected on this before, but I was just a nurse's assistant for a few years in college, and then actually worked in a mental hospital in the geriatric ward there too. So I've got kind of that range of assistance there, and so definitely connecting with you on that one, and excited to see where you all take that, and obviously would love to be a part of it in any way I can to help out with that too. So appreciate you being on, Kitty. It's been fun to kind of hear a little bit more about you and how things roll on your side. So would love to reconnect after the episode and see where we can help each other grow. And if you're looking to connect with Kitty, I'll make sure that all of her social media links and stuff are below, so that you can follow her journey along. Thanks for being with us on Beyond the Guidelines, and we'll see you next time.